Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review of Black Clover episode 48. And even before I get into the review, I thought I'd just kind of share my thoughts about basically the big news of what happened with Studio Pierrot. I think, it was this week or last week, I can't remember, but basically what happened is that one of the studios that Studio Pierrot was relying on the outsourcing in order to help with the animation of Black Clover. I think it was Studio Drop. Yeah, apparently Studio Drop, one of the studios that Studio Pierrot was outsourcing to help with the Black Clover anime, pretty much they went out of business and they went bankrupt. So it's very much a situation where I'm almost positive that like, okay, it is sad and it is probably a bit of a heavy blow to the anime community as a whole, but I'm pretty sure in this situation, like especially with knowing that apparently season two is still a thing. But you see, the thing is, just the fact that season two is still happening pretty much tells me that Studio Pierrot has a contingency or backup plan for pretty much scenarios like this. So while it is terrible that Studio Drop ended up going bankrupt, I don't think it's going to be the end of Boruto or Black Clover. Which I'm really kind of juggling as to whether or not I consider this a good... Honestly, I'm kind of juggling whether or not I consider this a good thing or a bad thing, because on the good side, this definitely means that Black Clover Season 2 is still a thing. On the flip side, however, it's still Studio Pierrot, so either way, you definitely know that the anime is probably still going to be just okay in comparison to the manga. Like, where the Black Clover manga is right now is hot compared to where the anime is, and you definitely know that Pierrot's gonna try and is gonna do exactly what they did to Naruto Shippuden here. That they're gonna stretch this thing, they're gonna stretch Black Clover out as much as they need to in order to make a buck, in order to make money off of it. So, yeah, it's with this whole So overall, I don't think season 2 is... I don't think Black Clover or Boruto are in trouble, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I almost wonder if Pierrot if it would be a good idea if Pierrot did in fact lose the rights to it, but it is what it is. Now that I've gone on that rant, I guess you could say, let's now that I've gone off on that rant, sorry guys, but now that I've gone off on that rant, let's talk about the actual review itself. So the episode starts off with the battle continuing where it left off, and I will admit, for as cool as it is to see Asta Combo attacking Beto with the help of Finral and Vanessa, I do have to admit that there is kind of a convenience aspect to just how easily he was working with them when he had little to no knowledge of how their magic works. I mean, he basically has knowledge of Finral's magic from basically previously working with him, but from my understanding, he had little to no knowledge of how Vanessa's magic works. So, I mean, I guess Vanessa's magic works simple enough, or you don't really need a whole lot in order to work with it, but... yeah, I can understand the convenience aspect to that for sure. But I think it also made up for it just by showing how much Finral and Vanessa were actually struggling in order to keep the pace. In this episode, like even after that motivational speech from Yami, they pretty much they still ended up struggling. So, in that sense, even though there is a convenience to basically how easily Asta was working with them, it kind of evens out with just the fact that Vanessa and Finral were in fact struggling in this episode. In fact, even Asta was having a rough time in this episode, because, and again, he just from the fact that Veto almost sideswiped him and caused him and caused him and actually swiped his side, like actually made him bleed, is like, yeah, he's actually making him bleed, is like, it's proven that, yeah, that Veto again is not your average run of the mill wizard, that's for sure. So we actually get Vanessa and Finral's backstories in this episode, and with Vanessa's backstory, it's really one of those things where, as of where we are and how close we are to the end of the season, it's Vanessa's backstory might feel a little out of place, as it's as of right now, its only purpose is that it serves as motivation to her character in this situation. But assuming things, again, this is basically going off the fact that season 2 of Black Clover does happen, but assuming things go smoothly, that backstory will play a bigger part in developing her character for pretty much the next season. And as far as Finral goes, I think the one thing we can take away from Finral's backstory is that, and even his role in this episode, is that just being straight up fighter and just being a straight up fighter is basically isn't always the important part. Like, even I can tell you straight up, as someone who's basically a World of Warcraft who's played World of Warcraft constantly, I can assure you, being the straight up fighter isn't always important. You have to have the people who support you are just as important as the people who support you are just as important as the one who's on the front line, so to speak. And I really like how this episode did actually draw into the fact that, yeah, having support magic and not necessarily being a straight up fighter isn't always a bad thing. It does have its props, and you can and you have to, and in that situation, you actually have to play to your strengths, and how your strengths can actually help win a battle, so to speak. And I really like how that was enforced in this episode. I also like how this episode, and I guess previous episodes too, really proved there's more to Veto than just being a brutish magic warrior. Like, Veto in this episode, he does actually have a mind, and he does have some intelligence, and I like how he was actually able to subtly hide what he was doing until it was too late for us to react. Well, like I said, with how quick that happened to Veto basically sideswiping Asta and causing him to bleed on his side, like that. You definitely know that just kind of further proves that, yeah, he is strong, but he's also intelligent. In fact, like with this, again, it's kind of weird to say, but he really is a beast. Veto has the animal instincts of a beast, and it's when you look at this fight, and you've taken all that aspects, all of what we learned of Veto, he really is a frightening character. He really is, and I also, and Yami, and of course honestly, if it wasn't for Yami actually saying something, I don't think Asta would have gotten out of there alive, to be honest with you, or at least. Here, he probably would have. He's the main character, but he would have been even more mortally wounded than he was in that situation. And speaking of Yami, I also like how, despite the fact that he's still trapped, Yami managed to lead and guide the Black Bulls through this fight, and even then, he still managed to lead and guide Vanessa, Finral, and Asta through this fight. I really like that aspect. Like, it is making Yami pretty much an integral part of this whole battle, even though he's not actually there. But even then, it didn't really help, as it still took all the Black Bulls arriving on the scene but pretty much before anything really changed. And yeah, again, it just goes to prove that how powerful Finral is. Now, having said that, I think it goes without saying at this point that the fact that the show is still building up Yami being trapped inside that little bubble pretty much means that pretty much this fight between Veto and the team of Asta, Vanessa, and Finral, or just pretty much everyone. Just Veto versus everyone at this point. I think it pretty much says that. Yeah, I really don't think that Veto is really gonna lose this battle. I think he's just gonna basically trash all of them at this point. I think he's gonna basically trash all of them, and in that situation, I think this is more than likely an obvious setup that the Yami isn't gonna be trapped too much longer, and that he's basically he's gonna be the one to pretty much defeat Veto in the end. I don't think this whole battle is gonna end until Yami breaks free, and he probably, if I had to guess based on the preview, he's probably gonna break free by pretty much the end of next episode, and then the final 2 episodes are gonna be like him pretty much fighting, him and Veto fighting basically, but so yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or actually any list too. But yeah, so yeah, guys, that's all I got. Later.